Down in the place to be. Forget your cares at the door, most definitely.
What goes on, guys? We're back here again with yet another review, and today we're going to be taking a look at a bunch of Marvel Legends. Today we're going to be taking a look at almost the entirety of the Ch'ad Build-A-Figure wave, the X-Men series wave, with Chamber, Emma Frost, Corsair, Monet, Fang, and Kid Omega. Now, I'm going to be honest, this is not my favorite Marvel Legends wave ever. Not only is the character selection not really for me in terms of, like, what I know and don't know, but I've had the chance to play with a couple of these figures, and they're pretty uninteresting. As a bonus, we're also going to be taking a look at the Target exclusive Antman, solely because I didn't feel like making a review for him alone, because man, is that a stinker. But anyway, without further ado, I'll do quick turnarounds of the boxes for you all, show you the barcodes, all that good stuff, and talk about what I know about the character going forward. Starting off with Chamber. Now, this is the look for Chamber that I'm familiar with. I know that he is like made of energy and he disperses it through his chest. But I'm going to be honest, this figure just kind of looks like he has a fire beard, and that's not necessarily what I'm here for. Does it look okay? Yeah, we'll talk about it more, but I'm not super familiar with Chamber, but if I was to get a Chamber figure, this is the design that I wanted for him. So I think that that's pretty cool overall, and then you do get the barcode for him there. Next up is Emma Frost. Now, this is her X-Men uniform, I believe, so I'm happy to have this. This is definitely going to go with my heroes next to my Scott Summers, because I actually kind of like them better together, and then Wolverine and Jean. Just kind of my preference. Now, this figure is also, you know, just kind of basic. This is the look for her that I wanted, so I'm happy to get it. There have been quite a few Emma Frosts at this point, so yeah, the artwork on the side looks really, really cool. I like that artwork of, like, the darker skin emphasizing the costume, and then nothing crazy on the back, except for the barcode there for you. Next up is a character I actually did kind of want. Not like top 10, not even probably top 30 to be honest, but I was always looking forward to getting a Kid Omega. Now, one of the stronger figures in the series, but that's not really saying much. I think that it's a cool mold, and I like that they're reusing the smaller buck for a character like this, but it's not without its issues. So, the box is nothing crazy. You just get some product images. I like the way that the artwork looks on the side for him, and then you do get the barcode for him as well. Next up is Fang, and Fang, I have to say, is probably a character I know least amount about. I don't even know if he's really a hero or a villain. I am leaning more toward villain, but I've also seen that he kind of has sided with the X-Men a couple times. I know that I read up about him a little bit. I know that he worked with the Shi'ar Empire, and that's pretty much it. He doesn't really have any special powers other than what you'd guess about him, but I do like the artwork on the side. I think that that looks pretty cool, and then you do get the barcode at the bottom. But can anybody let me know if he's a hero or a villain? Because that will determine whether or not I'm going to keep this figure, because I don't really do the villains, but, you know, we'll talk about why I'm getting all these characters that I don't really care about later on, but, whatever. Next up is Monet. Now, Monet, not like, or as she's called, actually what I know her as is M. I believe she just goes by M. She's pretty cool, and not a character that I was, like, dying for, but I knew about this character, and she's been on a couple different iterations of the X-Men, so to get a different X-Men character, it's just cool to add to the ranks of them. Again, I really like her artwork on the side, very pretty artwork, and then you do get the barcode on the back for her. But by far, the figure and the character that I wanted most in the wave was definitely Corsair. I definitely want to get the Starjammers, hence why I bought the wave. I know people out there, if you don't know the character, why are you buying them? Because I want Ch'ad, man. I do want Ch'ad. We have 3 members, technically, because we have Ch'ad, Cree'ee, and Corsair. Now, I can never pronounce their names, so I'm not even going to try, but there are 2 other core members that we're missing, and I would really like to get them, the squirrel-looking girl and then like the cyborg guy. So I really, really want to get those, and based off of how they did Corsair and Ch'ad, it's looking pretty good. So there is the barcode for him, and then finally there's the Target exclusive Antman. Box is obviously different. There's no association with the wave. You just get product images and cool artwork. Wow, that's a really cool effect that he comes with, right? But here is the barcode, there you go. But without further ado, there's a lot of toys to open up. Let's go ahead and do just that. So let's go ahead and line all these guys up. And gals, we got 2 gals. Look at this big boy. Corsair. Here we go. Or not. Alright. Cree'ee. And Fang. And Kid Omega. So, I'm not going to be getting this Cyclops. I don't really care about that look for him. I did not read Astonishing X-Men. I have my Cyclops. I really don't need a different one. So, with that being said, what are we thinking of this wave? Initial thoughts, Hasbro. What's going on here? This is probably one of the laziest waves of Marvel Legends I've ever picked up. And people are always saying in the comments, oh, well, why do you keep getting them? Because I like the characters. Whether it's not I'm buying the character to get the Build-A-Figure or whatever, I'm a Marvel fan, through and through. And that's why I get so upset about it, because you're paying almost $30, at least where I'm at, almost $30 for these retail, and I'm not seeing the value in a lot of these. So I'm going to start with my least favorite and work up and end on a high note. That's usually what I like to do. We're going to do quick looks at them, but without further ado, we're almost 7 minutes in already. Let's go ahead and get started with by far the weakest figure here, Antman. They really dropped the ball on this figure. And I don't have a comic book Antman. I don't have the Pizza Spider-Man mold, and I think this one is better objectively, but subjectively, that figure came out years ago, and this one is not much better other than being on a new mold and having a new head sculpt. Taking a look at that head sculpt, I love it. I think this head sculpt is fantastic. The bright silver paint is great. The way that they painted his face underneath looks fantastic. The sculpt is great. I think it looks great. The rest of it, oh, man, it's so lazy. It is so lazy. We've seen this mold a million times. A million times we've seen this mold. And the least they could do is make them pinless. And they didn't even do that. And I don't want to hear, well, they don't have that. Yes, they do. Blur is on the same mold, and he's getting pinless joints. Why did they not apply it to this and to Yondu? Because that was my biggest complaint about Yondu as well. I don't get it. The belt looks good. The paint that is there is clean for the most part. I think the gloves, I guess, are pretty good on his arms. They look nice. The belt is painted clean. I do like the design, how it's glossy for the black. Adds a little bit of character to it, but man, this is just a lazy release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including the eyes and mouth. 6 paint apps on this. 6 paint apps. That's crazy. It's crazy. But I'm not going to go over articulation. It's exactly what you'd expect from this. But whoa, hold the phone, guys. This guy comes with a crap ton of accessories. You get an awesome pair of fist hands. Really? Really, Hasbro? There is so much that you could have done. You already have the little ant. Put the little ant with him. I'm not asking for a fully articulated figure. Put the little ant with him. The reason I was making the joke about the character, this artwork on the side, give us the cool growing effect like that. That would be so sick to have just like a piece of plastic with minimal paint on it of him in a pose and then like an effect to put in front of it. I just don't get why they didn't do that. That is super lame and lazy, and it really doesn't make this figure worth the price point at all. It really doesn't. Gummy joints. I had to heat them up when I got them out of the package that doesn't have plastic in it. So it's like, how is it getting warped? Honestly, if this was not Ant-Man, I would not have gotten this. This is a really weak release. So my advice, do what I didn't do. Wait till it goes on sale. This is a very weak figure. Moving up the scale, but not by much, Kid Omega. Which again, it was a character that I was semi-looking forward to. Just because, like, I like Kid Omega. I thought he was an interesting character. I liked, like, that punky, asshole-y teenager kind of thing that he had going on for a little bit. So I thought that was cool. But, man, is this a stinker. This is a stinker. First of all, the head sculpt it's just huge. I think the head looks huge. He's got like the big square jaw, and it just looks way too big for this body. And the head sculpt itself does not look good at all. It just looks like he has like a piece of like cotton candy on the top of his head. And I get that he has pink hair, but they should have painted the fade. Because on the artwork on the box, I can't get that out, but there is hair coming down on the side. It's not just a strip on the top of his head. A little bit of a pink fade would have gone a long way. Also, the glasses kind of look weird to me. I think they should have glued, and I think they should have glued it so that it kind of like pinched in at the middle a little bit. So it's more like that. I might try to do that, but I don't know. The pink, I think it looks good. I think that it is painted clean. I mean, it's a pinless body mold. It's a good mold. I think the feet are a little big, but, it portrays that kid aspect of them. You do get a little bit of paint bleed in there, but it's not a bad mold. This is the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man mold, I believe. I believe that's what this is. I wish the pink was a little bit brighter. But I just don't like the way that the head sculpt looks, and I think that the paint is pretty minimal on this guy. So articulation, since we don't see this body mold too often, the head does go up all the way, goes down side to side. Shoulders go upwards all the way, and it doesn't mess up with the paint. Butterfly joint is all but useless. I know people are like, oh, butterfly joints are so good. What does this do? That does barely anything, so whatever, take it or leave it. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and then the gripping hands do have a vertical hinge, which is nice, and then horizontal hinge for the fist hands. You have the diaphragm joint up here, pivot and rotate, and then the crunch at the bottom. I like the setup. Keep going. I like this setup. I kind of wish that this had a little bit more range, but I like this setup. Ideally it would be ball joint, but for right now, I guess I'll take it. You get the splits, he'll kick forward, back, upper thigh cut, double jointed knees, calf swivel, and then the ankle goes down, up, and pivot. So the articulation's fine. I don't really have any problems with the articulation. In fact, I think it's rather good. The butterfly joints don't do anything, but they don't hurt anything. But then we get to the accessories, and this is where it really pisses me off. You get 2 interchangeable hands, so you get a full pair of grip hands and a full pair of fist hands. That's fine. And then you get this awesome translucent pink gun. We've definitely seen this before, but, I like that they did, like, his constructs and a translucent pink color. But look at this. All right, you know what? I am going to pull out the box. Is it going to make a mess? Oh, no, it didn't. You can see on the box, trigger finger. Goes in the trigger. There you go. This is what I'm talking about with the hair. You can kind of see the lines coming down because it's faded. It's not just a thing on the top of his head. This grip hand does not hold the gun. There's no trigger finger. Why? That is so stupid. Why? So now you're going to have to cut the finger to get it in there instead of just using the trigger finger hands that they have tons of molds of. I mean, not for nothing. Here's Corsair's hand. Just out of curiosity. Oh my goodness, would you look at that? They're the same size hands, just about, and it has a vertical hinge and a trigger finger. Look at that. Because I think the hands are already a little too big, so you might as well just give it a finger that works. I just can't believe that they didn't do that. That makes zero sense to me. And it's just lazy. It's just lazy on Hasbro's part, because I want him holding his gun, but I'm going to have to cut the finger. I mean, luckily I have the means to do that, but it's just, you shouldn't have to for something simple like that. Because I also think that the paint on the fingers is really not good, because they didn't paint the inside of the fingers where he does grip it, and it's like really caked on, so it's kind of ugly looking. But man, that this figure definitely would have been higher if the head was a little bit better and this was not a thing, because this is really bad. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm being over dramatic about it, but I think that that's awful. Next up, whoa, I dropped them. Chamber. Now, I think the chamber looks cool. I think the head sculpt looks cool, but there's a lot of problems with this one too. Again, it's just lazy. It's just lazy. I think the head sculpt looks pretty cool. I don't like that I have this like big lump behind the head. I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't know if it wasn't glued in properly. I don't know. I've seen a couple other figures of people saying that theirs is like that, so maybe it's just molded like that. But I don't like that, but I do like the energy effect because I don't think it's actually fire. I think it's like just raw energy. So I do like the way that that looks. It's translucent. There's a little bit in there, but they did do that fire beard thing. And I thought I always, when I was younger, well, not younger, I guess a couple years ago when I first heard about Chamber, I thought that like the insides were made of fire and he just like breathed it out, kind of. It's different. He's just made of energy, but I don't know. I think the head sculpt looks great. I like the paint on there. His expression looks good. The veins on there. I think that that's pretty awesome. I love that all the buttons on the jacket are painted. These two are missing. But these studs and zippers all painted. The buckle and the belt is painted. From here up, I can deal with that. I think that that looks good. You get pinless arms. The hands look good. I have a problem with these legs. These legs are terrible. Why are we still using these? They are so hard to get on the stand because they don't move up. And you have better legs. First of all, he's supposed to be wearing boots, not dress shoes. Like biker, like this is a biker outfit, right? Here's a thought. Use the Mr. Knight legs from the Marvel MCU Marvel's Moon Knight figure. They're pinless, they're bigger, and they have the chunkier feet. Just mold them in black. Why they didn't do that, I have no idea. I think it would have looked a lot better. I would have added some meat to his legs because I think they're very skinny and wobbly and just not good. So that's my opinion, but I think that they could have done that a lot better. The head, in terms of articulation, oh, by the way, no accessories again. You just get a pair of fist hands, which his did come with 2 fist hands. I just seem to have misplaced one, so that's on me. I'm going to assume that it had to because I know it did, but I just can't find the other one. So comes with 2 fist hands, but aside from that, nothing. No energy effect, no power down head with like he sometimes wears like a mask, kind of like a gator across his face. That would have been really cool to see. But nope. We don't get that. So in terms of articulation, you're really just going to give it a little bit of a swivel. It's not really going to go up or down. These shoulders suck. That's as far as they go up. I don't want to break it. That's as far as they go up. They go down. They rotate. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and then the wrists swivel and hinge. So the arms are fine from the bicep down. Man, it's just ridiculous. They did resculpt a new torso. I believe that that's a new torso. Can we get a Marvel's Mummy? That would be cool. A monster box set. But crunches and swivels. It's fine. Looks great. Works good. Hips barely get out at all. He'll kick forward. He'll go back. Thigh swivel. Double jointed knees that do work. They look awful, but they do work. These feet that are terrible. They go all the way down. There's no rotation. You do get a pivot, but they don't go up past flat. So you always have to have them leaning forward just a little bit to get on the stand. So it's better than Kid Omega. But we're still in like not good quality figures in terms of like what we're getting. So it just, oh man, lazy. Next up is Emma Frost. Now, I don't think that there's a lot inherently wrong with this figure. It's just her design really doesn't lend itself to an action figure, and I can't blame Hasbro for a lot of that. But what is here is rather good, except for one thing. I think the head sculpt is better than people are saying it is, especially at certain angles. Like if you lean her back, she looks great, but it's like certain angles it looks weird. I found that if you put the hair down here closer together like this, it looks a lot better. I don't know why, but I think that that looks better than like when it's like poofed out. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I really like the way they painted the hair. That looks fantastic with the yellows and the whites. Looks very good. The cloak or cape or whatever the hell this thing is sculpted very nicely. I like that. The corset looks good with all the texture and sculpted lines. Everything's sculpted, even the top of the glove, which I think is hilarious, that you'll never see and has no function, is a sculpted glove. Don't even get me started. That characters who have visible sculpted parts or are just painted, but then you will never see those elbows, but they're sculpted, so you know they're going to use them somewhere else. But I think it looks good. I think a blue spray on this would have definitely set it apart from the rest of the wave, but you do get pinless legs, the seam going down there. The X belt is painted super clean and crisp. I love that. You get the little choker on her neck. Looks good. I think it looks great. But what brings this down is the articulation and the fun factor of this figure. There really isn't any, and there's really not much you can do with it. She does stand very good, which is nice, but in terms of accessories, you guessed it, interchangeable pair of hands. You just get a pair of open hands. Now, unlike with Chamber, where I know I lost the fist hand, I scoured everywhere when I first opened this box. I did not get a secondary fist hand. It just was not in there, and it's a little unfortunate. I was actually going to have her with the open hands anyway on my display, so I'm not too upset about it. But again, you're paying $30 for this. The least they could do is make sure that it's in there. And if that's on me, that's on me. But I admit when I'm wrong in saying that I lost the chamber hand, but I scoured for this one. And I had a friend there with me. Jacob, if you're watching, vouch that she didn't come with the other hand. But, you know, it's whatever. So what really brings it down, though, is the lack of accessories and the articulation. You're just going to really get a swivel. It's on a double ball peg. You're barely going to get any pivot. It really is just going to rotate. Whatever. Shoulders, forget about it. You can get up to there. She can only go forward to about there until you start to rip it out. And then single jointed elbow that rotates, and then the wrist swivel and hinge. You do get a diaphragm cut up here, which I think functions pretty good side to side, rotates and arcs back, but I think it could go forward a little bit, especially considering like it doesn't really matter if it's ugly back here because you're not going to see it. So, you know, form over function, I guess, but whatever. The hips, she does do almost the splits. That's good. She'll kick forward very far, back, upper thigh cut, double jointed knees, and then the ankles just go up, down, and they'll really just swivel because it's not really a pivot. I think what would have been really cool is if they did like a little swivel right above the ankle, like a little cut there to make it rotate for better pivot, but I'm not too upset that they didn't. So again, not great, but this one, we're getting in the okay territory. Is it the most fun figure ever? No. Will it get the job done for the character? Most likely. So it's okay. Next up, we have a fun figure just purely by design, Fang. I think Fang is, we're still in the okay territory because he still has a lot of problems, but he's just fun. I put him over her because she looks better, but he's just a funner figure to play around with. I don't know if that makes sense. You know, it's my list. It only has to make sense in my head. But he's just funner to play around with. I really like this head sculpt. Werewolf by Night head, maybe? I don't know. I might have to get a second one and try it. Because that looks great for a Werewolf by Night. I use the Jada Toys Werewolf, Wolfman. See if I can pop that head off and pop this one on. Because damn. That looks awesome. I love that head sculpt. I hate floating pieces, and unfortunately, almost all of these are floating pieces. The belt, the necklace, and the ankle parts, like the boot tops, are floating pieces. The forearms are also floating pieces, so I really don't like that. I'm definitely going to put little dabs of glue on there, because that bothers me, always trying to line them up. But I love the matte finish on the black. That looks fantastic. But I think that they did that to defer away from the fact that they picked the ugliest frickin' brown for his gloves and boots. Man, it's really ugly. And the yellows do not match, and it drives me nuts. The top of the hips and the torso and the kneecaps and the elbows are a different color from the biceps, the forearms, the shoulders, and the legs. And it might not be showing up on camera, but in person, it's pretty damn noticeable. I don't know if you can see better with, like, the back of the hinge. It's just, it's so ugly. One little detail that I like that they did is they made this black line come up next to the joint so that you didn't have it cutting in there. I said that before with certain things. Just paint it correctly. And they did. The paint is pretty clean for the most part. I mean, like, up here it gets a little fuzzy. And for the most part, this is the worst part. It doesn't really get worse anywhere else. And other than that, it's not too bad. He's got like a little mark on his butt, but it's not too bad. So other than the horrendous shade of brown they chose and the semi-not clean paint, like on the knee, it kind of looks a little messed up there. He's pretty cool. They did redo this Spider. This is the Spider UK mold, but they did redo it to have pinless. Why do... Oh, man, it just... I don't get it. I don't get it, but maybe I'm not meant to. But, I mean... The only thing, you guessed it, when it comes to accessories, you get an interchangeable pair of hands. You just get fist hands. That's it. So if you like that, good for you. But I think for a character like this, you get claw hands. Though, for me, that's what I'm going to have him with anyway. But I will say for him, I'll accept just interchangeable hands, as I really don't know enough about the character. And maybe other than like a closed mouth head, it would have been great if he came with 2 heads so I don't have to get a second one for Werewolf by Night. But I don't know. Just me. So take a look at his articulation, but you probably guessed it. The head works great. The design of the skull just kind of really allows itself for a good articulation. The arms go up, down, rotate, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows that are pinless now, and then all the wrists swivel and hinge. Do get a crunch, arc back and forward, and a waist twist. Hips barely go out. Kind of sucks. He does kick forward pretty good, back, upper thigh cut. Double jointed pinless knees that can be so much better if they just got rid of a little bit of sculpting. So I'm going to heat it up and cut it down a little bit, and then that'll get a little bit more range. Calves rotation, and then ankles go down and up, and a pivot. So again, he's just more fun to play around with, other than the fact that you're always fixing these bands. Oh man, I hate that. That is such a big pet peeve of mine in the action figure world. But yeah, I think that he looks pretty cool for a character that I barely know anything about as well. Next up, a figure that surprised me was Monet. I actually think that this is a good figure. Is it great? No. But it really does get the job done in a lot of ways. First of all, her proportioning is really cool. I think her head's a little small, but that kind of just adds to the superhero effect. So I'm okay with that. I like her big boots and the forearm bracers. It's a good looking design. I love the way that they sculpted her hair. Dry brush would have been nice. But the head sculpt kind of looks like my girlfriend. So I might have to get a second one of her too. She's a little bit lighter. My girlfriend's a little bit lighter, but I think it looks like her, so that's pretty funny. But I like the upper sculpted chest because the zipper is new. Like, I think it's a new upper torso with the collar and the zipper sculpted on there. You do get double jointed pinless elbows with the bicep swivel. Love to see it. You get the cap in there for the shoulder pads. That looks good. And then I like her bracer with the X logos painted on each side, which are very cleanly applied. Her belt looks good. And then you don't really get any paint from down, like from the waist down, because these are all just molded. So the backs look a little weird. I'll admit that. Kind of like what I was talking about with the back of his legs. They did not do that here. So, it's not the end of the world, but I really wish that was different, because they molded the lower calf in gold, but, for articulation purposes, they had to mold the joint in red. So, and then you do get these awesome looking boots, which I believe she has psychic power. So it's very interesting that she has like a big meaty suit like this. Well, I guess like meaty boots. The whole suit isn't meaty. But again, you get an interchangeable pair of hands. These tiny little hands is all you get. No accessories. We have gotten one accessory so far for everybody that we have looked at other than Kid Omega with his gun. How insane is that? That's insane. I think this may be the record for the least amount of accessories. The whole wave total, other than interchangeable hands, has 3 accessories. That's crazy. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But I think she looks good. She does pose pretty well too. Her head's on a double ball peg, but with that big hair, she's not going to do much. You do get good pivot and rotation. I like the way that you can like angle her down. I like that. Looks good. Shoulders go up all the way. They go down. They rotate 360. Just kind of move the cap with it. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and then the wrist swivel and hinge. And these rotate. They are just separate pieces on top, so you can move them around. Diaphragm joint works fantastic on her. She crunches forward and back. Rotates side to side. Fantastic female upper torso. Hips go out, down, kick forward, all the way up. Works great. Back, thigh cut. Nice bunda. Double jointed pinless knees. No boot rotation, but this is a separate piece as well. So if you wanted these for something else for some reason, you just have to pop off the foot, slide it off. Ankle goes down, up, and pivot. A little bit of paint chipped off. This is great. Not great, but it's good. It's a good figure. Very surprising figure, because it was not a character that I was like dying for, but it's a fun figure to mess around with. So they did a good job on Monet, which is pretty cool. But I think the best figure in the wave, other than the Build-A-Figure, is Corsair. I think that he's not perfect, but he's definitely objectively the best out of the wave. First off, I love the way they painted him with the matte, maybe satinish finish. Looks really, really good. I think the head sculpt is a little weird, but it's also pretty good at the same time. So I go back and forth if I really like it or not. But I think the back jaw, like back here, is out a little too much. Like if it was pinched in a little bit more, I'd like that a little bit better. But then, like I could make him go down, his jaw comes back out. But I love the paint on the stash. The bandana with this little sculpted piece looks great. The hair coming over, very awesome sculpt. I like that a lot. Kind of does this weird thing where he's kind of always hunching. I don't know. It's like a weird in between. I don't know how to describe it, to be honest. The paint on his logo looks great. It's not exactly the same logo that we see on the box, but it's also not the same version of Corsair because his facial hair is a little bit different and whatnot, but I'm okay with that. I like the new sculpted upper torso because it is new to have this plugged in there. This is a redo of the Vulcan body. That's the other thing I'd like to mention. Other than Emma Frost, this whole wave, for the most part, is reuse. Just keep that in mind. I would love to know where this budget went. They probably put it in that Cyclops that I'm not getting. But I like the biceps. They look good with the plastic being molded. You get a little bit of gold paint on the buckle there. Looks good. The boots look good. For the most part, again, it's weird that we get sculpted shoulders or bicep gloves, but these boots are not sculpted. But yeah, I think that he looks cool. He looks pretty cool. And he comes with 2 of the 3 accessories we get in the whole wave. Whoa, he comes with his gun. I don't know if this is new or not. Let me know. It's just molded in a marbly gold plastic. And then this is also molded in a marbly gold plastic, but it's his sword, and then it's painted silver. So you do get the trigger finger hands on him, so you can have him with the gun. And then if you want, he also does come with a full pair of fists and a full pair of grip hands. So if you want, you pop in the other hand, and then you can pop in the sword. So you can have him swashbuckling it up in space. He's a space swashbuckler. That's what he is. So I think that that's awesome. In terms of articulation, it's probably no surprises, but there is something that I want to go over. The head goes up and down. It's hard. It's on hard notches for some reason, but rotate, no real pivot, a little bit of play on there. Shoulders only go up to about T-pose. They go down, rotate 360. You get a little bit of a butterfly, but it really doesn't do much. Bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbows, and then the wrist swivel, and have a vertical hinge on the gun-wielding hands and a horizontal hinge on the not gun-wielding hands. You get a waist twist. He crunches really far forward, and that doesn't look terrible to me. Is it great? No, but it doesn't look terrible. They rounded it out. But then you do it this way, and that looks awful. He gets a huge gaping flat, like you can stand something on there. Like I can rest his gun almost on his belly like that. Like what? Maybe I can't. What about a sword? You can get a sword in there. Look at that. That's crazy. But that's awful. Just put a diaphragm joint. I don't remember it being that bad on Vulcan though. So maybe it's this new upper torso. I don't know. I'd have to go back. I didn't like that figure neither. So hips go out. They go down. He kicks forward, backward, upper thigh cut, double jointed pinless knees, calf swivel, the ankle goes down, up, and you get a rotation. So it looks pretty cool. I think it's definitely the best figure in the wave, and I have been playing around with him a lot. I like, how he holds his gun and stuff, but I would say my favorite figure in the wave, and this is why I bought the whole wave, is definitely Chad. Oh man, he is awesome. I have wanted Chad for a long time. I think a lot of people have, just because the Abomination mold is literally perfect for him. They did the modifications to this mold that they needed to, and I'm very happy that they did. Is he perfect? No, I have 2 little complaints. Well, one big one and one little one, but overall, I think this looks great. Oh man, I love the bright green. You do get a little bit of like spray on top of some of the scales. He does have newly sculpted hands and forearms for the fins, and I don't know if these are new feet. Let me know if these are new feet, but they work. They work. I think they're new feet. I don't know. Let me know, but I'm pretty sure they're new feet. You get a little bit of spray on the top of the feet as well, a little bit on the top of the hands. I love this sculpt. I never had that Abomination, but I always thought it would be great for Cha'ad. The back looks fantastic. I think this is a new overlay piece because this is a separate piece. So I think this may be a new overlay piece because same for... Oh, maybe it's not. No, I don't think it is a separate piece, actually. The top part is, you can see like the seam right there, but the bottom part's not. So I don't know. Let me know if this is the same as the Abomination, but it works, dude. It works. I know the shoulders are reused, but they look great. And I love all the little warts and speckles and things. And then, of course, you get this awesome head sculpt. But that's where one of my little complaints come in. I wish the lip was bigger and painted yellow. I know him as having like a huge lip. And it's like a brighter yellow, kind of like this color, but I think they should have painted it rather than sprayed it on. I love his red eyes and the fins on the side and his squatty head. But, I don't know, I think his head's a little small for the body. And I think he should have had that big yellow lip. Maybe that's just me, though. But one thing I didn't know was that he has jaw articulation. That's awesome. He's got a black tongue in there. His teeth are painted good. Mine is kind of broken, though. It's gotten better for some reason, but when I first took him out, it was, like, loose and couldn't even stay up. But luckily, it has kind of, like, fixed itself. I wish the nails are painted on the toesies and the handsies. And I wish he came with a fair pair of fist hands. But I think the biggest issue with this figure is where's his big weapon? This whole wave literally has 3 accessories. You couldn't have given him his big lance sword thing. I'm very upset that he did not come with that. Hopefully it comes with a later release, but that is so whack that he did not come with that because this wave is so lacking in accessories. I don't know. Let me know if it's not that big a deal to you, but I definitely wanted him standing there behind the Starjammers holding his big weapon thing. I did also want to mention that the pants look good, and I like this belt. Looks cool, very leathery. But yeah, no way does he not come with his weapon. That kind of sucks. Although he does come with another member / like pet of the Starjammers, Cree'ee or Cree'ee. I don't know. Let me know how to pronounce it in the comments as best as y'all can. It's just a little molded guy. He's just a silly little fella. I like his face. He's got the black eyes with the red pupils. It's actually a ball joint on top of the head. Not super useful, but it's better there than not. Yeah, there's not much to talk about. He does fit on Cha'ad's shoulders pretty well. You kind of got to play with it a little bit. Different positions you can put him in on his head and stuff like that. So you can definitely work with it. Maybe swivels at the hips and the shoulders would have been nice, but not completely necessary. So, technically, we have 3 members so far. I'm very happy about this. I really have wanted Starjammers for a while, so to be starting the team is pretty awesome. Are these perfect? No. I think Corsair is really good, but we really need the weapon for Cha'ad. So, I'm going to skip comparisons. Really, dude? I'm going to skip comparisons just because there's really no point. These are all reused molds. I'm pretty sure you all know exactly what to expect with these molds, so you can kind of just go back in previous videos. Just for consistency's sake, Zombie Cap has to be in every video, and he's not too happy with this wave. So, with that being said, what do I think about this wave? What are Zach Toys' final thoughts on this wave and Antman? It's a really not good wave. It's a really not good wave. Let's put it like that. There are some strong points, but even the highest points in this wave are not very good, and I have big complaints about. Cha'ad being my favorite figure in the wave, aside from, just being the Build-A-Figure, he has his problems. The jaw is super loose on mine, and a little bit more paint would have gone a long way. He comes with no accessories, which really sucks considering he really needs his big lance thing. Monet, probably a good figure. I say probably because I go back and forth whether or not I think it's good or not, but I think it's okay. I think it really needed more accessories, but I don't know what I would give her, so it's hard to say. Kid Omega stinks. The head sculpt's not good. The way it can't hold the gun is stupid. It's just not a great... The body mold saves it, to be honest. Fang, also not great, but also not terrible. I hate floating pieces. It just ruins the fun factor. But that head sculpt is awesome, and the pinless tech on it's really good. Corsair is my favorite figure in the normal wave. Other than that ab crunch, he really doesn't have any problems for me. I actually really like that figure. Good good assortment. Chamber, waist up, he's pretty good. Waist down, he sucks, and that really, really holds him back. Emma Frost just isn't fun. Does she look good? Yes. Does she function good? Whatever. Not great. And Antman, I think, is definitely the worst, just because they definitely just slapped Antman on the box, knowing that they could do the bare minimum, and idiots like me would still buy it. So, that's my final thoughts. I'm sticking to it. I'm going to rate them all as a whole. I can't go higher. Taking everybody into consideration, than a 6 for the entire overall wave. It's pretty weak. If you can get them on clearance, get them on clearance, because I can't imagine these are going to sell. Other than Cyclops, there are no heavy-hitting characters in this series. None. So I really think that they're going to sell. Not great, but whatever. So anyway, I believe that's all I got for today. So if you have not already, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Also be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I post a lot over there and have a lot of fun. So I'm sure you all will too. But as always, let me know. You copping any of these guys? Because again, at almost $30 a piece, I'd wait. But anyway, see you guys in the next one. Peace. Perfect timing.